The sound rolled through the stone courtyard before the sun had fully risen, cutting through the frozen air like a command. Snow lay thick across the ground, untouched except for the narrow path cleared by boots during the night. Torches burned along the walls, their flames weak against the cold, their smoke drifting low and gray. Ellsa was brought forward as the bell fell silent. Her wrists were bound in front of her with coarse rope, stiff from frost. Each step she took left a clear mark in the snow. Darker where the stone beneath showed through. Her breath came in short clouds, rising and disappearing as quickly as they formed. She did not resist, she did not stumble. She walked because she was told to walk. The guards halted her in the center of the courtyard above on the raised stone balcony. Nobles had already assembled. Heavy cloaks hung from their shoulders, trimmed with fur rings, caught the torchlight as hands rested on the stone railing. No one spoke, their presence alone was enough. This punishment was not for the crowd beyond the gates, it was for those who governed, judged, and remembered. Ellsa kept her eyes lowered. The snow continued to fall, soft and steady, settling on her hair and shoulders. A guard brushed none of it away from the far end of the courtyard. The herald stepped forward. He carried a scroll sealed with red wax, already cracked open. His voice, when it came, was loud, practiced, and stripped of emotion. Let it be known, he announced, that judgment is to be delivered at dawn, before witness and law. Ellsa lifted her head, then not in defiance, but because the sound of her name was coming. The herald turned slightly so his voice carried upward to the balcony and outward to the gathered guards. Ellsa, he said, stand accused of attempted poisoning. The substance was found concealed within prepared food intended for a noblewoman of this house. A murmur passed through the nobles, not shock, but acknowledgement. The herald continued, the act was discovered before consumption. The accused was seized, questioned, and found guilty under oath and evidence. Elsa's jaw tightened, her hands curled slightly within the rope, the fibers biting into her skin. She did not speak, she had already spoken enough during the night. The herald paused, letting the words settle into the cold air. Such an act, he said, is treachery. It threatens life, order, and the authority of this house. The scroll was lowered from the center of the balcony. The presiding lord stepped forward. He was tall, wrapped in a dark cloak clasped at the throat. His face showed neither anger nor satisfaction, only certainty. There will be no debate, he said. His voice did not need to be raised. The guilt is established. Ellsa felt the words more than she heard them. For the crime of attempted poisoning, the Lord continued, the sentence is corporal punishment. 6 strokes of the cane delivered, publicly counted, witnessed. The number landed heavily in her chest. Let it be carried out now. No mercy was asked, none was offered. The executioner stepped forward from the shadows near the wall. He was a broad man wrapped in thick leather, his face partly hidden beneath a hood. In his hand he carried the cane, long, smooth, unadorned. He tested its weight once lightly, as if confirming what he already knew. Ellsa was guided forward another step. A guard moved behind her, loosening the rope just enough to reposition her arms. She was turned so her back faced the balcony, the nobles now watching her without obstruction. Another guard placed a hand firmly on her shoulder, directing her posture, not cruelly but with practiced precision. Stand, he muttered. She stood. The snow beneath her boots was trampled, now stained with dirt and footprints. The cold had seeped through her soles long ago. Her body shook, not violently but enough that she had to steady herself. The executioner took his position several paces behind her. The herald raised his hand. The punishment will be counted, he announced. Each stroke acknowledged. Ellsa closed her eyes. The first stroke came without warning. The sound cut sharply through the courtyard, a dry cracking strike that echoed off stone. Ellsa gasped, the breath driven from her lungs. Her body lurched forward, restrained only by the guard's grip. Pain flared, sudden and undeniable, spreading outward from the point of impact. First the herald called. Elsa's breath came back in ragged pulls. She clenched her teeth, forcing herself upright again. The snow beneath her boots was disturbed where she had shifted, nearly fallen. The second stroke followed soon after. She cried out, then a sound torn from her before she could stop it. The cane struck slightly lower, the force measured, but unyielding. Her knees bent involuntarily, and the guard tightened his hold to keep her standing. Second, the herald announced above. The nobles watched in silence. Some leaned forward slightly, others remained still, hands clasped. None turned away. Elsa's vision blurred at the edges. Tears burned in her eyes, not from weakness, but from the Boda's refusal to remain unaffected. She swallowed hard, tasting blood where she had bitten her lip. The third stroke landed. This time she did not cry out. The pain was deeper, now layered over what had already been delivered. Her breath hitched, her chest heaving as she struggled to remain conscious of the count. The moment, the cold air filling her lungs. Third, snow clung to her lashes, her shoulders trembled, but she did not collapse. The executioner adjusted his stance. The fourth stroke came heavier, not in cruelty but in finality. The cane struck with a sound duller, now absorbed by cloth and flesh. Already marked, Elsa's legs gave way slightly, and she would have fallen if not for the guards on either side. Fourth, her head dropped forward, chin against her chest. A low sound escaped her throat, not a scream, but something broken, raw. She forced herself to breathe, each inhale sharp and shallow. The fifth stroke was slower in coming. The pause stretched, deliberate. The executioner waited until she had steadied, until she stood again without being lifted. When it came, the strike drove a cry from her that echoed up to the balcony. Her back arched involuntarily, every nerve alight. Tears spilled freely, now freezing against her skin. Fifth, the snow continued to fall. Elsa's strength was nearly gone. Her legs shook uncontrollably, her body sagging between the guards. Her thoughts scattered, counting, breathing, surviving. The next moment, one more, she told herself, not aloud. Inside, the executioner raised the cane for the final time. The sixth stroke landed cleanly, decisively. The sound was sharp, final, absolute. Elsa cried out once more, then fell forward as the guards released her, lowering her to her knees rather than letting her collapse fully. The pain pulsed through her in waves, each one slower than the last. Sixth, the herald announced. Silence followed. No cheer rose, no voice spoke. The nobles remained where they were, judgment complete. The executioner stepped back, lowering the cane. His task finished, Elsa knelt in the snowhead. Bowed, breath ragged, the cold pressed against her knees, grounding her, anchoring her to the moment. She was aware of everything, the ache in her body, the burn of tears on her cheeks, the weight lifting slowly from the air. As the sentence ended, the presiding lord turned away from the balcony. That is all, he said. One by one the nobles followed, their cloaks disappearing into the stone corridors behind them. The guards relaxed their stance, the torches flickered as the wind shifted. Elsa was helped to her feet, not gently but not roughly either. Her bonds were removed, her hands tingled as blood returned to her fingers. She did not look back as she was led away from the courtyard. The snow continued to fall, covering the marks left behind. The stones bore no memory. The witnesses did, and dawn finally broke, pale and cold over a punishment completed exactly as ordered.